Hi, I'm Jeremy. I make YouTube videos about nerdy things and all things imaginary, including LARP. And I LARP in Southern California at a fantasy LARP called Twin Mask. I'm at the site now where the game will be happening this weekend for the September game. And I wanted to make a small video just to show you around the site and see what it's like before the game officially starts, just so you could get a sense of how it looks, see some of the awesome permanent buildings on site, and if you decide to come or are interested in showing up, have a better sense of what the physical layout of the game is like. So I'm walking up to the front gate of the game now. This is officially where the game begins when it's game on, though sometimes there are events that take place outside in the parking lot and in different little areas, usually away from the cars, to represent when you venture out into the world beyond the city of Port Frey, which is the city that this site represents in the game world. So as I step into the site of the game now, you're going to see a lot of camps that are in the progress of being set up. They aren't fully set up just yet, so they're not going to be fully like they look like at game, but I'm going to try to explain what the different locations you'll see are. Ignore the cars. Obviously during the game those are all moved outside so that they don't really get in the way and break your immersion. Behind me is the smithy. This isn't the only place where you can blacksmith in game, but it's an awesome physical representation of an actual blacksmith forge. I don't know what the deal is with who can forge here or what the rules are around who this actually belongs to. In any case, the main character who's usually here is a character by the name of Wayland. It's way more impressive when you hear clanking and he's here working on stuff, actually working on things, actually blacksmithing in full armor. On the other side, across the way where I first came in, is the Nadine camp. If you remember, the Nadine are the group that is currently laying siege to the city of Port Frey, but there are returned among the Nadine, or some of the returned are Nadine, and so they make their camp over there. They're really great about having food, drink, and just all of that, a good place to rest. And they're all nice people outside of game too. That's the thing, you know, you can't always hold people, the players, responsible for the allegiances their characters have or the situations of the factions their characters are linked to or represent. So one thing you'll notice is that a lot of the camps and tents that you see don't look like they particularly fit the setting, and really it's just because they're not set up fully yet. The rule about that is in this part of the campground, pretty much in every part of the campground except one I'll point out later, the tents must look like they fit the setting. They have to be genre appropriate. Not on the inside, just on the outside. So a lot of people put covers on the tents, which you'll start to see, that hide and obscure that the tents are actually very modern looking and wouldn't belong in a fantasy setting. In addition, there's a lot of buildings, and it's not always clear which buildings are part of the game and which just exist on the site, because the site is used for other things like a Renaissance fair or a Halloween event. So the Cronenberg site has a lot of other purposes. In general, the rule with buildings is don't go in unless you're invited or unless it's clear that it's a public event building, and usually that's clear because there's a lot of other players in there. A lot of the buildings that people use and stay in tend to be rented outside of the game. There are groups on the Facebook that once you get into the community, people can point you to, so that you can potentially try to rent a building, either you or with a group of friends, to use in the game, or at least to have a place to stay in if you'd rather stay inside a building rather than setting up a tent yourself. Behind me is the Arcane Consortium. This is kind of like a Magic Adventurers Guild. It's a really cool part of the game. It's one of my favorite actual physical setups at the game. If you're looking to do magic and some pretty crazy research sometimes, there's a lot for you to find here, and the players here try to be pretty friendly to new players to get them involved into the game. behind me on this side is an age-gated area, more or less. This is the brothel endgame. It's not much of a building to look at, but this is where a lot of the Coalish pirates hang out. My character, Caliban, is a Coalish pirate. He spends a decent amount of time here in the brothel. The Coalish people usually meet here and have their meetings to, get to know each other and talk about Coalish affairs here in the brothel. And a lot of the Coalish players camp behind this area just to have a common spot to, camp together. Fortunately for you, the player that this belongs to, Eric Hoff, who plays Mr. Wiggle, one of the best and my personal favorite characters here at the game, and a Coalish staple, has given me permission to go inside and show you this little hideout. And here in the center we have Wiggle's hat. This is the piece, most important. And candles up in here. Wow, some awesome stuff. So that's the hideout that we're leaving. Pretty cool. And there are lots more cool hidden spaces like that. Players who spend a lot of effort getting their spaces to look really cool, feel really immersive, that you'll discover over the course of the game. So this is a really great example of the tent covers and things like that I was talking about, making what is a modern tent look really great, like a genre tent. And we have Mike and Suzanne here.
Hi!
Whose tent this is. Who are going to tell us just a little bit about what goes into making a setup like this.
Sure.
Yeah, so, was this always like this from your first game?
No. Our first game, it pretty much looked like your average pop-up tent, the bright green on it. We started with a few little things on our front porch, just for fun, because my character is an alchemist, so I wanted to have all the little cute bottles and that kind of stuff. So we had a few little things on the front porch, but as soon as we got here, we were like, oh, we have to go harder than that. So,
just because you saw so much other cool stuff.
Yeah, so it was okay, yeah, we need to up our game. And we also, we had been camping in the out of genre area, so we wanted to be able to be in the thick of things.
Sure.
So yeah, for ours, it's like a camo net cover.
Oh, okay.
We actually have 2 layers on it so that you can't see any of the gray underneath, because it's gray and bright green. And then we also have this bamboo little fence thing that we put around the edge to make it kind of look like it's a little hut.
Yeah.
And then this is just a burlap cover, and we have it all clipped on with clips that we clipped and spray painted green.
Yeah,
we spray painted them green so that they wouldn't show.
Yeah, you can't notice them at all.
Yeah, they just once you step back, you can't really see them that much, so it's not too bad. And then we actually, this is our fall setup.
Oh, wow.
So we have all of our autumn leaves, but in spring we have cute little flowers and that kind of stuff. And then we haven't done winter yet, but I want to get flocking to do a little bit of snow on it. So
wow,
we'll see.
That'd be awesome.
To be determined.
To be
How
determined.
much extra packing is just your decor?
We have to take 2 cars.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
yes.
rough.
Granted, I drive a Ford Fiesta, so it's not like it's an excursion or something. But yes, we pack it to the brim. There's no question about it.
Yeah, but we also bring a lot of a campfire setup and just kind of communal areas to sit and stuff. So we could whittle it down to 1 car, but it'd be pretty packed. So we just made it easier. We live close by, so 2 cars just worked out.
Having those kinds of elements, I feel hopes you get a lot more. You can move. It's okay. No need to be fancy. I think it helps create a lot more role play here, right? Like it allows you to, I don't know, just get more out of the game because people like having a campfire.
Yeah.
Means more people can come around it.
Oh,
and
for
having
sure.
It's
Yeah.
like genre means you can actually use it.
That's actually one of my favorite parts of the game is kind of like the quiet moments where you're able to just kind of sit down and like experience, like feel like you're in the moment. The RP, like that true RP. Yeah, like our little campfire areas over there. But yeah, one of my probably one of my favorite moments in game ever was we actually had the fire lit and we had like 10 people or so around the fire. We were all just like, so how did you die? And like just kind of enjoying each other and enjoying the moment. Yeah.
That's awesome. What are your character names?
I'm Rendell.
My character is named Irie Rosewater.
Do you have any, I guess, just tips in general for starting out with a decor that looks good? Because obviously it's one of those things that you keep improving over time.
Yes.
But
it's definitely a thing where like we can't go into Michael's or Joanne or Hobby Lobby without.
It's a sickness.
It's dangerous.
But,
and we enable each other. So
True, but I would say, as far as tips and tricks goes, you don't have to go complicated first. You can go really simple and look in genre and be great, and then just kind of start tacking stuff on as you go.
Totally.
We just happen to be really into just kind of going over the top, and like once we get our wheels turning, it's hard to stop. But I would say even simple things like drop cloths and things like that, canvas, materials. If you have extra scrap fabrics, you can knit together a really cool tent cover and make it really easy to get in genre. There's great examples all over the place.
Were you already pretty crafty before starting this, or is it kind of a learned thing from this game?
I would say yeah. I've been cosplaying for over 15 years.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
it's like basically not that I've quit cosplaying, but as soon as I found this, like cosplay kind of took the back burner, and I'm like, oh, I'm all into this.
Yeah.
So.
It's like a big group cosplay with everyone.
Kinda,
and then
yeah.
Pick it back up
Yeah.
every
Oh,
6
totally.
weeks.
Yeah,
Totally.
exactly. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's just a hobby we do together, so we kind of enable each other.
Totally. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for showing off your tent and talking about it.
Yeah, thank you.
As we move deeper into town, you see the main road behind me continues down to the tavern. We're going to keep following that for now. Here in this gazebo is usually a tea shop, which will be set up later, where you can come and get actual tea and hang out and rest, and it's very comfortable and nice. And there's often a little bit of music playing. And down this way, over there in Sketchy Corner, leads to what is generally called Murder Alley. We'll take that path on the way back up. One of the things worth noting is that generally in-game, there are actually tours for the newly returned, which is the in-game, in-world term for new players that you can take that'll get you even more familiar with the world and allow you to see it during the game. But I don't want to be filming during the game, so I'm doing it now, and hopefully you'll come and get to see the full effect here when you're in character. Behind me is one of a few stages at game where there are usually meetings or occasionally from time to time performances and other events. At this point, we're pretty close to what is the center of town. Here we have the merchant area and the tavern just down there, and a few other sections I'll show you in just a moment. Behind me, you can see the Golden Kilt. The Golden Kilt is one of the 2 taverns in the game. It's right through the merchant area where you saw the main road that we came in from. And on the other side, Murder Alley, which we'll go down later. It's because of its centralized location, I tend to spend a lot of time here, especially as my merchant character Caliban. A lot of different players rent rooms out here so that they can stay somewhere close in an actual physical space. And the tavern is a great place to come, get some drink, talk to players, meet some new characters while you're in the game. If you remember the setup I showed in past videos where I was camping out, it was actually built right back there, but unfortunately the person I was camping with, Charlie, isn't at game this time, so there's no setup and I'm not camping over there this game. Generally, this whole camp is called Dagger Camp.
Are you videoing?
Just a little bit.
Hey, welcome.
So this is just off to the side of the Golden Kilt Dagger Camp area. This is Carrie's camp.
Welcome to Corrigan's Druid Grove.
Yes.
My name's Carrie. I play Corrigan. He's a druid in Twin Mask of the old ways. So it's like the historical idea of a druid as like a priest, like of the ancient Gauls would have the druids who were their priestly class, and so that's what they are in Twin Mask. So he is a follower of the old ways, which is like a lot of greenery and animals and that sort of thing, what you might expect. So he wears animal masks as part of his worship, as part of some magic in the game. So I've got some different animal masks that I use for decoration and that he throws on when he wants to use them. So lion
mask,
rabbit, crow. He's got an owl over there. Yeah. So this is sort of where I chill out, where I hang out and we do fun old ways priestly stuff. Druid Camp, basically.
Behind me is the center of town. You have the tavern here and the guardhouse just next to it. Over here on this side, you have the Guild of Academics, which is one of the major groups, guilds in the game for, in this case, academic study, so lore topics, but also magical spells and research. Only the good magics, and none of the darker magics that you'll have to find out about in-game. Up and down this main road are shops along the way with various people selling the various goods and crafts that they deal in. In addition, we have this corkboard here, which has a lot of details about the siege going on currently, and usually has any important notices that players need to know, characters need to know about the game going in. If you're literate, it's a lot easier. If not, find someone who's illiterate to read these to your character. Over here behind me, you have one of the several religious shrines in the game to the different pantheons that exist here. Some of the ones are more secretive than others, but if you play a faithful character, there are great communities for that in the game, just like there are for most niches of the game, and it'll give you actual physical places that look great to spend your time praying in, which is an actual skill in the game with really great effects, especially now in the new rulebook that's just been launched. There's a whole new set of priest skills for your character to explore. Behind me is the arena. This is usually where Listen Up is held. Listen Up is the kind of out-of-game commencement of the game. Once Listen Up is over, the game is officially on and everyone is expected to be in character. All cards are off, everything is ready and good to go, and the game for the weekend truly begin. This is also where a lot of fighting drills are held. The drills give your characters a lot of benefits inside the game, and tournaments like the tournament for Champion of Solace are also often held here, though just make sure you're not ambushed from one of the various sides. And here, once again, the road rejoins back to the other side, which we'll take on the way back up. In the meantime, we'll follow it through to the end, through to the rest of the arena. Yeah.
Jeremy! He did.
Hey, how's it going? really important location on this side as you start to follow the road down are the restrooms. You know, brush your teeth, wash your hands, all of that good stuff in here. And finally, we come to the tent city. This is the out of character camping area. What that means is not that this area is out of character. It's not only the insides of your tents are out of character. All it means is that the tents themselves can look out of character. Everyone generally accepts that this place can look non-genre, not appropriate to the setting, just so that it's easy. So if you don't have the time and experience to build a tent yourself or to get one of the buildings or anything like that, you can camp here without worrying too much about your setup. Around the site, there are a few other buildings around this area. There are a few other buildings people can stay in and some mods or adventures that people can go on in these areas. Most of the game takes place in the areas we've already looked back up closer to the center of town, but this is still part of the game. The entire site is always in game until the game is officially over Sunday morning after 6 a.m. Yeah. Behind me is one of my favorite parts of the site, which is the castle, the Templar Castle. It's no Templars in the game really, but this is a location that is starting to become more accessible to the game. One of those big types of buildings that can be rented out, usually by groups of players, that I'm really excited to see get more use. This game, apparently, I didn't know, there's a wedding going on, and it sounds like it's going to be happening in the chapel over here. So at this point, we're about as far out as the game really goes. There are a couple distant places you can go to and sometimes play in, but there's not usually much of a reason to go into those spots. You've seen a good amount of the site. We're just going to head back up towards the gate and round out this tour. There's plenty more to discover that I can't cover in a really quick video, but I hope you've been enjoying it so far. If you have, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos about LARPing, especially about Twin Masks, but hopefully I'll start making out to some other games soon when I can, and other nerdy stuff like D&D and the work I do writing. Behind me is check-in. At this point it's dark and hard to show much of anything, but if you come here when you start the game, this is where you'll pick up your character sheet. If you pre-registered or if you already submitted your character, you'll come here whether or not you bought your tickets in advance. There'll be two different lines for people who bought their tickets before and people who didn't. Pick up their character sheets, and then you'll head on over across the way, which you can't really see right now because of how dark it is, to Logistics, which is the town hall of the game, where you'll check in properly and get any skills that happen at the start of the game, like resources you gathered or money that you start the game with, and also any scrolls for magic that you cast. Alright, we are back at Dagger Camp. Unfortunately, I took a little too long doing the tour tonight, and it's too dark to see anything, so I can't finish showing you Murder Alley and Logistics, where that is, but I'm gonna try to pick this up on Sunday to show you the rest of the campsite. But hopefully from what you did see, you got a decent feel for the campsite so far and what the layout of the location where the game takes place is like. It's Sunday. I probably look a little worse for wear. My throat's all torn up, but I've had an awesome weekend playing through. I want to make sure to finish giving you guys the tour so you can see what the site is a little bit before setup and a little bit during the teardown. So as you walk back up from Tent City back towards the main street, the restrooms are down there behind me that I pointed out. Over here in this building in the back is Logistics, which is where you go to get your check-in skills, things like that. You go to get your check-in skills, the money that you start with, any supplies that you have. On this side, behind these cars, is where Chef is, and there's always a ton of water for people to drink here. Chef sells food at the game, so if you're not making your own, you can come and eat some here to supplement whatever snacks you bring. And then in the back there is the check-in building. There are 2 lines at the start of game. I didn't get to show you. One if you pre-registered, one if you didn't. That's where you start out getting your character sheet before you actually then go to logistics from here and get yourself all set up to start the game. Whether you're a new player or a returning player, that's how it goes. These windows here, there'll be a ton of lines, and then all the way down to logistics over here. In addition, once the game is on and begins, the check-in area becomes the medical area, where if you're heat exhausted or having any sort of medical issues, you can come and rest and get some treatment. They have medics here that are players and staff who are here to try to help you best as they can. So down over this way, and at one other entrance I will show you, is where the NPC camp is. That is the behind the stage area of the game, where when you have your NPC shift, that's where you go to get your assignment, get your costuming, and spend about 4 hours of the game back and forth between there and going outside, deployed on mods, little adventures, and scenarios for the characters and players to engage with. And that's the tour, really. That's about it. I hope this gives you a bit of a better sense of place for Twin Mask, for the game. I'm sure there's stuff I missed. That just means there's more for you to discover when you come, if you're interested, and if not, you get a chance to see what a site like this is like with these permanent buildings that are super awesome. If you want to see more videos about LARPing or the other nerdy things I make videos about, like Dungeons & Dragons and my own creative writing, subscribe and you'll see everything I upload when it comes out. I'll definitely be making more nerdy videos just because it's been a lot of fun and it seems like you enjoy it so far. And if there's anything you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. Thanks. A red dot that appears.
Aha. All right.
You got it?
Push it once.
Yeah. And then it should say a red. So yeah, it is recording. You can kind of see it under.
Yep. You got it.
Cool.
All right.
So the one thing I forgot to show was Murder Alley. So now that we're driving out, just gonna show you here so you can see what it's like on the way. Though you did see parts of it before.
Want to roll down the windows?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Show people.
Bye, bud.
Okay.
Good luck.
So
this is the camp I used to stay in. You might remember this over here. On the left is the Golden Kilt, which you saw in the other parts of the tour. And then there are a few buildings that people rent and stay in, or places to set up camp back here. But it's kind of the back road. A lot of dangerous stuff can happen here. It's also a really good place to escape if you don't want to be on the main roads.
So why do they call it Murder Alley?
Why do you think? People die here a lot. A lot. Really easy to just get stuck somewhere. Awesome. Well, cool. Well, that's it. That's really it now. So, see you.
How do I stop?
Is it good?
So
You just press it again.
Hello everyone, Kaylin here, Druid of the White Stag. Please join the Old Ways if you decide to join.
Hi, my name's Matt. I play Kieran Arendir. He's one of the Offendal here. I'm also a story advocate for House Mist and Shadow and part of the medical team. So if you need help with anything, feel free to reach out to me out of game. In game, well, only if you're an Offendal.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Matt.
No problem.
I'm Ted Minette, and I play Sir Aldred Hightower of Castle Thorn. You should find me if you want to talk military tactics.
My name is Hunter Sauls. Out of game, in game, I'm Sutter Malcolm Wallace of Castle Thorn.
My name's Jasmine, and this is Elmiria Donadu.
Out of character, I'm Jason Walker. In character, I'm Zareth, Knight from Castle Thorn, half dragon.
I'm Liam Lenahan. In character, I'm Polvo Cornejo, half a fighter from Cole.
Good? Yes. Okay. Hi, my name's Kate, and I play Sigrun, the Shield Maiden. I'm in front of my house. Hello. Hi. So I play Agatha. My name is Shayla, and I'm from Cole, and this is my house. I got it. You can rent. Yes, you can rent buildings on site, and it's really cool. It's actually pretty inexpensive, weirdly enough.
Hi, I'm Scoot. I play Nate. She's a little crazy.
But it's not the full moon, so it's all right.
A little crazier than the other return. It's all
Yeah,
relative.
exactly. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's all relative. Yeah.